Points League. I'm your hosting commissioner, Sean Murphy. Along with me this evening is Tim Byrne, a non-champion and Rob Crabbe, one-time champion.
Championship game participant. That's the right language.
We don't give participation trophies. You either win it or you lose it.
We do. Championship game finalists. I'm going to put the banner right back here next to freaking Casey Musgraves. That's where it's going to go.
It should also be noted that he is one half of the Kirkwood and Dunn podcast. I cannot fucking talk. But yes, welcome back to the program, guys. Pretty terrible start from the host. But that mirrors exactly how I started the 2024 baseball season, and we saw how that ended up. But anyway, welcome back. Tim, I've seen you 3 times in the past week. It was wonderful getting to see you when I was in Indy this past week. Also got to see Tom Kaiser as well as Andrew Habby. Yeah, really great to catch up with everyone. I don't think we're going to see Tom or Andrew in New Orleans, but we will see a number of others here in just a few short weeks. I've got up on the screen right now everyone who's coming. They're different times. We'll have 5 on Friday, and then we'll have 7 on Saturday with Robbie coming in Saturday morning along with Adam, and then we're going to Antoine's.
Yep. Which is interesting. It was a heavy recommendation. He's not even going to make it.
Yeah. He mentioned it, and like he mentioned, I'll probably end up taking care of the bill on that one, but he'll pay me back. That was important to him. Is there anything on the menu that caught your eye? Like, I mean, I know Andrew gave the recommendation, but you're pretty well traveled. Have you? Yeah.
So I looked at the menu. I mean, it's got some good Southern cuisine, and I think that's especially coming from San Diego. I miss kind of more, I guess, authentic, like regional food. Like living in Chicago, I felt like Chicago was a pretty melting pot. You can kind of get a little bit of everything around the U.S. and San Diego, it's a little bit more bland. And so I think just the uniqueness of kind of Southern charm with some little New Orleans flavor. Kind of caught my eye. And then obviously the history. I mean, I think it's the oldest restaurant in New Orleans, and I think it's like one of the oldest actually in the United States. So I mean, that'll be kind of cool too, on the historic side of it as well.
Yeah, and it's not too far of a walk from Caesars.
Yeah, and it's because I went there for my bachelor part, like to New Orleans, and so I definitely wanted to pick something that I hadn't gone to or experienced. So that's also kind of wanted to try some new places out. So
we have in the chat, Dan wants to know, Sean, why you're in the witness protection program.
I don't know if he's referring to the lights or how I sound.
Your sound.
But I did see that.
It's so funny. This is gonna be great. I can't wait for you to watch this back, and it's gonna sound like wild. It's gonna be funny.
Well, wonderful. I sound great to me. I don't know if this is like a Patrick Mahomes sort of thing where I sound like Kermit the Frog, but whatever. Anyway, let's kind of jump into some other stuff. Tim, you and I watched the U.S. play Canada last week. I think we saw both games. Yep. They were tremendous, but as someone who perhaps doesn't watch a whole lot of hockey, what were your takeaways?
It's certainly a very exciting sport. I mean, I was really dialed in immediately on the first one when it started off with 3 fights in the first 12 seconds. That really got the juices flowing. I think the biggest thing was that, and it was an interesting sort of juxtaposition against the NBA and their All-Star break. The players just clearly cared. And watching good athletes care about what they're doing is exciting television. Amazing to see that. So it was a lot of fun. I think it would be really interesting if I tried to watch just, day by day NHL, how I would feel about that. But It's a fun and exciting sport because it can all hang in the balance there at any given time, and it just takes a little bit of a bounce of a puck, and then all of a sudden you're tied up or you're right back in it. So I could see how a lot of people really love it. It was just kind of the first time that I had really, for the most part, paid attention to it.
Yeah, it was. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say I thought it was a great idea. I think like the NBA's All-Star break is kind of a joke now. Like, and I know everyone's trying to do a gimmick thing. I mean, even the NFL is a joke. And it's like one of those things where maybe they just do away with it. And I know the NFL has talked about it. Like this is like Tim said, it's like the players actually care, and it's like that country pride and the Canada for hockey. Like anytime you pit USA versus Canada, it's like it's a very prideful event, and I think hopefully hockey sticks to this, and I think this is a good format for like an all-star break, if you will. And it's also, I think, a good break for the players that aren't playing. I mean, I think they took almost a week and a half off. Whereas, Major League Baseball, it would be kind of cool. But they just don't have the time to do something like that. Because even there, yeah, they do play, but I think they're so more interested in getting everyone into the game that sometimes it loses its competitive feel to it a little bit. So I mean, I did enjoy the hockey experience. So I thought it was a great thing, and probably drew a couple more people into the sport.
Yeah, I know they did incredible ratings for both of the games. It was weird for me as a Leafs fan that lives in Canada and is from the US. I basically just ended up cheering for Leafs players and cheering against like rivals of those teams, regardless of what country they were on. So like I was like cheering for Austin Matthews, who plays center for the US, and then like I would cheer against Brady Tkachuk because he plays for Ottawa, and I can't stand Brady Tkachuk, and I feel even stronger about Brad Marchand, who plays for Boston and is Canadian. So like it was kind of like a weird sort of event to watch. Not like kind of, and obviously kind of like balancing my feelings in with the the backdrop of the event with a pending trade war between the two countries. Also dialed up the emotions of what would have already been an emotional game, because like they haven't had that game, that like tournament, in like close to a decade. Like it's not very often that the best players on both of those sides actually play one another, and they really want to do it. So it was a great marketing event, I think, for the NHL and for hockey in general. And hopefully, it dwells up some passion, some viewership. It's a really fun game to watch. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Any other thoughts here? We're going to say goodbye to hockey for another 6 months on the
for another year.
Thoughts and prayers,
Yeah.
BJ. Sorry. Another year, maybe we'll start that NHL points league someday. Keep holding out hope.
Someday, man. Someday. Next item we've got on here. It was a big weekend for the MLS. They got their season started. And Rob, you have a new team to cheer for. Tell us about
I do.
that.
So I feel like I can finally get the bandwagon name dropped for my name, because I am a founding member of a grassroots team in San Diego. So we just started our first year in the MLS. Actually, beat the defending champion on Sunday Night Soccer, which was pretty big. Granted, the Galaxy were missing a couple players, but overall, I mean, to be an expansion for your very first game and to blank out a team on their home turf after a ring ceremony was huge. There's a lot of excitement in San Diego, I think. I unfortunately arrived in San Diego the year the Chargers left. And so really we were down to just really the Padres. We do have a couple minor league teams, the Goals, and then an indoor soccer team. But really there wasn't much around this city to get excited about. And I feel like this new soccer team, this city is kind of really bonded and gotten together to support. And I think they're going to see a lot of fan support here in San Diego. And like Manny Machado is a part owner. So, I mean, they've got a lot of good people in place. I mean, they took some execs from LAFC, and they did a marvelous job in creating a great product from day one. And I think they won it within their first four years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 5. And so, I mean, I'm not expecting us to win it year 1 or 2, but I mean, they did get some splashy players in here, like Chucky Lozano from Mexico, and they got De La Toro from the U.S. national team. I think they've got a good product so far. I'm excited. I get to go to the home opener on Saturday. They've got a lot of activities planned for that, and I think it'll be a good addition to the San Diego sports market. And so far, everyone this week's been excited. I think part of it too is San Diego has that rivalry with LA. I think it's a bigger deal for San Diego than it is for LA. I think LA looks at us as kind of like a little brother, and they really are more concerned with San Francisco and their sports. And so I think any rivalry, anytime we can beat LA in anything, San Diego takes a lot of great pride. And so it's going to be fun. I'm excited for the year, and see, how well this does, and have great hopes for San Diego. So, and I give the Padres a little competition, so to stay a winner.
Yeah, I think as someone who's been cheering for FC Cincinnati since they came into MLS, it's such a fun environment to be in live. Very different than kind of your other big sports. Just with like the songs and just the overall environment. It's very niche. Like you kind of feel like you're like kind of part of this other thing that other people aren't a part of if they don't have like MLS, in their city. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of community that it's easy to integrate yourself into. So I think you're going to have a great time kind of getting to learn the league. It can be a bit provincial, like kind of like baseball, where you kind of just know like a handful of stars around the league, but your team inside and out. And so like, I think that's kind of an opportunity for MLS to build on. But if you haven't paid for the MLS package on Apple TV, I do recommend it. It's really good production quality, and like they do a really good job promoting the sport. And if you want to watch the games, you kind of have no other choice but to purchase it. So
that's one of the nice things about being a season ticket holder. They actually throw that in for free. So like I heard
about that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So which was really cool. Nice. So I started watching a little because like I follow soccer, especially during World Cup time. I think everyone does, but like I'll follow MLS here and there. But I think now that I have a team in my city, I'll be a lot more observant and really have a better probably understanding and know more players than just a few of the stars. So I'm excited about that. And it's I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see and such that. So I was going to say that's the one thing about you were talking about the community and everything. When I was getting season tickets, that was the one as we were going over the different sections to sit. I was talking about like one of the goals, and the guy's like, I can only sell those if you're willing to stand for 90 minutes straight and scream, because he's like, this is like
supporter section.
And I was like, what? I'm on the wrong side of 40. I want to sit down and watch. I don't want to be yelling and screaming. And like for resale value, I also, in case I can't go to a game, I don't want to have to put that burden on someone else. So I unfortunately had to pass on being a super fan, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's fun to do like as a one-off for sure. Like I've sat in the Bailey, which is a fun time at FC Cincinnati, but usually when I go, it's like with my mom. She's not game to stand for 90 minutes. So yeah, no, I can definitely appreciate that. But yeah, no, it's going to be a really fun time. I'm looking forward to visiting, to see FC Cincinnati play San Diego in the future. I could definitely see myself doing like a West Coast trip, going up to LA and seeing Christian, and then coming down to see you. So that would.
If anyone wants to see their hometown team, they offer. I have 2 tickets, and my wife is not very excited to go to any of these soccer matches. So I feel like every game I'm going to be.
She'll get excited.
So, I mean, I do love that we're playing St. Louis on Saturday. So I think Dan and I should have a little side bet.
Yeah, there you go. So the next item we got on here are recommendations. So this could be like literally anything. Could be a television show, could be a product, could be some sort of subscription. Tim, I will let you go first. It cannot be traders. I listened to your last fucking podcast.
Oh shit, that's the only thing I'm doing. Cannot be traders.
Shameful. You can't double pod. Like I know that Trent is like accusing you of cheating on him with this pod, but you were ours first.
He'll get over it. Shit, I don't know. That's what I was planning to talk about. So I got vetoed out of that.
All right, we'll give you a minute. I didn't think that was actually what you were going to say. Rob can go first.
I was like, I don't know. I've got to fucking think about it. I bought probably like a month ago the MetaQuest VR headset, and I mean the high end version one that I bought, which has like the biggest memory and battery life, whatever else, was $500. So it wasn't like cheap by any means, but it is incredible. I mean, the experience to like from a gaming perspective is wild. I can also like YouTube videos. I can just throw up and make 150-inch size screen. I can then like get up, like literally walk through it. I can then like piss with the headset on because I can see through it and whatever else. I can go right back to like sitting down and do all sorts of things. I can have giant windows up, like I can have Twitter going on one angle, like you can move it around. And then the immersive stuff, the NBA does like free sort of like VR broadcasts. They pick like basically like one game a week. It kind of rotates around. Sometimes there's 2 games in a week. And then you're like literally courtside. You're at the check-in table for the VR game. So it's really, really, really cool. And that was free. Like that's free within all the apps and whatever else. Like you don't have to buy League Pass or anything for that. So it's really, really cool. I mean, it's not cheap. It's certainly not something for any of our friends that have 5-year-olds or 3-year-olds to just run around with. But if you've got the capacity for it, it's pretty cool.
Nice. And Rob?
So I guess I have 2. I mean, one, if you want to do a show, it came out, I think it was last year, but I started watching Masters of the Air on Apple. Takes place in World War II, kind of like you like Band of Brothers, and I think the Pacific. It's that kind of storyline, and this talks about the aviators that were from the U.S. that were in Great Britain that were doing the raids in Europe, and the lead guy in it is the guy that played Elvis. I can't think of his name. I'm about halfway through it, but it's really interesting. And my brother's the one that actually recommended it to me, and it made me just because it's aviation related, which is why I get stuck. But it is, if you're looking for something good with a little history, and if you enjoyed Band of Brothers, I think it's a good watch on Apple TV. And then I would say, to go with the history thing, I actually just got back from Charleston for my wife's 40th. And I would highly recommend, if you've not been to Charleston, South Carolina, if you're looking for a place to go, you can go there for a long weekend, but it's highly recommended. And I would definitely recommend going during their annual, which is just randomly picked, but it's called Southeast Wildlife Exposition. So basically what it is like everyone that is a duck hunter, deer hunter, like anyone and anybody descends upon Charleston, South Carolina. And there's a wide variety of events. Like one of the nights we actually did go to like an oyster roast. And they had an auction, which was great to see. And like they were auctioning, and pretty much every trip they were auctioning off had a safari/hunting component to it. But like I took a walking tour of Charleston and actually played golf on like a revolutionary battle site where they had like cannons on the golf course. So like the food also really good. So that's why I'm also looking forward to New Orleans, because the cities are very similar kind of in architecture. New Orleans is more, has got more of a built up business center, I would say, with high rises and stuff. Charleston's still more of a little sleepy, charming kind of town. But food was amazing. And so I would highly recommend, if you're looking for a place, especially if you live in the Midwest or East Coast, it's not too hard to get to for a long weekend. So
nice. And my recommendation is I'm going to stop this live stream for a moment and see if we can come back and have our video on here.
Showing. Do you see that? Yeah.
Since we're just like 3 blank screens right now talking, which is really annoying because I want everyone to see Tim's beautiful background, my blue, and whatever the fuck Rob's got going on. So we're going to stop and come back and see if I. All right, stopping. I did not even realize that. So
I get a glass of water.